Hi there folks, James here from the Mad Tin Hatter blog. Just again doing a final state of the collection for my Flames of War British. These are infantry and support from infantry. Can't really say, I've done a few bits and pieces on this over the last year, mainly to add some odd things rather than kind of standard units. So I'll just kind of move in and start. I'm going to go down here first of all. So, some work in progress stuff here, I'm afraid. If you've watched my previous films on my collection, you might have spotted that I actually had painted a unit of 2nd Derbyshire Yeomanry, who were the reconnaissance battalion of the 51st Highland Division. I had painted them in the kind of proper colours and everything, done Daimler scout cars, as the information I had showed that the Highland Division actually had Daimler's armoured cars at the time with Humber LRCs. Doing a little bit of digging historically, subsequently I actually found that the Daimlers weren't equipped to the Highland Division until September 1944, and the period that I'm covering is actually obviously before that. It's August, early August 44 when they had Humbers. So I had a bit of a disaster where I bought some of the new mid-war Humbers only to find that they were a full third bigger than the old resin and metal ones, and proceeded to kind of spend some money and pad this unit out. I managed to recoup some of the money by selling the Daimlers on to Martin, who's going to use them for Belgians or Czechs or something like that, I believe. So so plan is over the next few months to make a start on these guys and get them painted up, as currently I'm a bit short on recce for my various armies. The Humber LRCs, the ones I'd originally painted, I've kept. They come in packs of 2, unfortunately, so it's one of these where you need one for an HQ unit, you end up with one spare, but never mind. Moving on from the Derbyshire Yeomanry, some 6-pounders. These are from the support company of the 7th Battalion Argyll and Southern Highlanders, and these are from my 154 Brigade. And as with the 17-pounders, you can see I've actually got these limbered for moving about the table, and also deployed for once they're down. One of the bits of work I did recently was actually to upgrade these 6-pounders. When I was painting the limbered guns, I realised how dark the originals were, because I painted them 5 years ago now. My painting style's changed, so I redid them, updated them. The guns themselves are looking a lot better. I can see that I still need to do some work in the carriers, but having to pick between reworking stuff that I've already painted or painting new stuff, so I'm kind of more, I think, moving the lead collection, the lead mountain on, rather than redoing old work as a priority currently. So I've got a full battery of 6 guns, which would be what the whole battalion had. 6-pounder in Normandy was still pretty effective. It was a pretty good point defence weapon. They actually started receiving armour-piercing discarding sabot rounds in Normandy, which could actually penetrate the front armour of a Tiger at closer ranges. So still a useful gun to have. With the support company, I also have a platoon of 3-inch mortars. Again, this would be the full battalion's assignment of mortars. So I've got 6 of them with spotting teams, because it was built for the old version 3 rules, and the carriers plus a carrier for the commander. Now the spotters for these didn't have carriers, which was odd, but I suppose they would move with the foot troops anyway. Other support company unit we have here is the carriers. I've gone for a full 4 squads of these. I do actually have a plan at some point to use some of the spare figures I have to make some dismounted carrier patrols. Basically counting them as small MG teams, probably only 2 or 3 bases per carrier patrol. But Normandy reading, you hear quite a lot about how the carrier patrols were used in a dismounted capacity because they had so many Brens. They added quite a lot of firepower for a small number of men. So I'm really keen to try and work them into the rules for the big scenario games that we play. Not part of the support company, but Flames of War commonly attributes them to. I've got some Wasps here. These would actually have been from the 1st of the 7th Middlesex Regiment, who were the kind of heavy weapons battalion of the Highland Division. So they had Wasps. They also had the Vickers MGs, of which I've got 4 with the carriers and the MMG carriers. And then behind them, on front of them, I've got 4.2 inch mortars, which were again part of the 1st to 7th Middlesex Regiment. These would have been for B Company of that unit, and they were kind of divvied up across the whole division as and when or as and where they were needed. So that's about that half of the board. The only thing I've not covered off is these guys. Painted up last year, I think. Some engineers. You can see they've got minesweepers and such. And this unit behind was going to be another unit of pioneers. But as it turned out, I don't actually need more pioneers from a British. So they may go on to be pioneers for the Poles or Canadians at some point. Type of games, again, big scenario games that we play, lots of minefields, lots of things that need gapped, all that sort of stuff. Engineers are just really useful. A good little unit, I'll do some trucks for them. A good little unit to give players for all sorts of interesting jobs. Not infantry per se, but good at gapping obstacles and all that sort of stuff. Clearing minefields, filling in ditches, all that sort of thing. So shifting across again to another set of units that aren't standard, I have this lot. Now you can see I've got a couple of ambulances there, a KT ambulance, an ambulance half track, ambulance jeep. I've got a little stretcher bearer team in the middle there. In the centre, the large base with the 2 universal carriers is actually my take on a regimental aid post. And I've also got these little medium and small bases with medics working on casualties. I'll just shift to give a view of that. So the idea is that these would go up against a hedge along this line or a building, and that they're sheltering behind the carriers. Obviously these bases are just separate to be scattered about on the table as and when required. Ambulance and ambulance jeep and stretcher bearer parties and stuff, the large scenario games we play, we just have special rules for them. We use the Flames of War rules, but I've just got some bits and pieces like having an ambulance within so many inches gives you a bonus to unpinning, that sort of stuff. I've got a naffy wagon for just a little kind of marker tabletop scenery. Someone said as a joke that I should do one, so I decided I would. Behind that I've got some provosts, some military police, again little pointless stand. I've often used it in large scenario games just to mark where reinforcements and things come on, and then really for battle group a little supply wagon. And along with the supply wagon I have a Morris CDSW, which is like a little pickup truck, recovery truck style thing. It's actually decaled up as part of the light aid detachment attached to the 7th Battalion of Gallon Southern Highlanders. So I'm tempted to do a similar little diorama for these guys, because the light aid detachment would have had one of these vehicles a larger truck and maybe a Jeep or something, so maybe just a little diorama for that at some point. Then we're on to the whole meat of the infantry battalion. Currently 2 infantry companies with 3 platoons each. You can see where my painting style and quality has changed left to right here basically. I had made a start in upgrading, as you can see from the platoon at the rear, but again I'm back on that. Is it better to repaint old miniatures or actually good enough, move on, paint more? I've also got the Pioneer platoon over here from the support company, and 6 defrocked priests for my Totalize theme. I've got more of these to paint obviously. Those 6 again, not hugely happy with them. A lot of frosting around the MGs from I think it was a varnish. Frosting on some of the passengers, so I'm tempted to revisit them at some point. But I do have more to paint, so I'll see how I get on. So the plan for the infantry is to paint another company of British infantry. Handily enough for Operation Totalize, the battalion was so short on manpower that they actually disbanded temporarily C Company. So the battalion should have had A, B, C and D Company and then S Support Company. But they disbanded C Company, so they only had A, B and D companies left. So theoretically I only have to paint 1 more company of infantry for these guys, and I have a full battalion and a full support company. I'm planning on doing 4 companies of infantry, so double this number basically. One of the companies I'm going to paint as Canadians, but on a big game, if I need a full 4 companies of British infantry, I can just stand the Canadians in. I'm sure they won't mind being Scots for a while. It's not like I'm asking them to be English or anything. So that should work. Another bit of work to do to get the transport and everything done for them. But yes, that is the full infantry shebang with recce still to finish. The reconnaissance guys, I'm going to have some of the assault platoons and things. They're going to have their own attached anti-tank 6-pounders and things. Have the models for them. I think some of the stuff's assembled. I just haven't got around to thinking about painting any of it. So that would be the assault sections in half tracks, and 6-pounders towed by Lloyds, and some mortars and things like that. So all that's ready to go. So effectively, this recce Derbyshire Yeomanry unit is going to be its own separate army effectively once it's done. So that's me. That's all of my Flames of War models have at least been out of the box this year, if only for the purposes of this exercise. So that's my final video. Handy for me, just shows me how far I've come. Dispiriting because it shows how far I still have to go. Being a perfectionist, well, to a certain extent I look at what I've done so far and I see, you know, I painted these 5 years ago, my style's changed, my technique's changed, my equipment's changed, my lighting's changed, my way of doing bases has changed. I would love to just start again from scratch and make sure everything's the same, but that's folly. You have to just keep moving forward, I think. Excuse me, bumping chairs. You just have to keep making forward progress, accepting that your technique, your style, your ability is going to change, and it's a shame that everything isn't up to the same standard. It's what I currently do, which isn't, you know, the best, but it's better than I was. But just have to kind of plod on, keep moving forward, keep swimming. So that's me for today, guys. I'm going to do one more video while I've got the light, but that's it for my state of the collection. Thanks very much for watching, and that's me.